Have to reboot OBS. No, we're back. Yes, hello. Please tell me it's working. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. How are you? Please let me know if it's behaving now. Looks a little bit loud, but let me know how it is. We had a power cut here today, and I forgot that in the power cut, my Rodecaster turned off. It's never usually turns off. My Rodecaster Pro I leave it permanently on, and I didn't anticipate that the power cut we had today actually shut the Rodecaster down as well. So that's why we didn't get the music, the audio at the start. So, hello, good evening. How are you? Sorry for the false start on this one. I hope you're all safe and well. It is time for another live stream on Sunday. I've started this one a little bit quieter, a little bit more reserved than usual, mostly because I've been rough as crap again all week. I don't feel 100%, so I'm going to start this one rather calm and easy-natured, and I'll probably be back to my normal ranting self by the end of the stream, slagging off DJI because, frankly, you all know and I all know there's nothing I like to do more than say bad things about DJI because I am obviously a shill for Cadex. Anyways, good morning, and I hope you are well wherever you are in the world. Now, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined us on tonight's stream. 104 people already. Wow. So what we're going to talk about tonight, well, we're going to talk a little bit about something new is coming from HD Zero. We don't know what it is, but I'm just going to highlight it because we don't always get a lot of news about HD Zero, and it, you know, people like me's job is to talk about it, and I thought it's only right that we do mention it, and I don't know what it is, but we will talk a little bit around it. Then we're going to talk about whatever else I've put in the doc. So Cadex, they're starting to ship the goggles, but they also sent some images, which is quite interesting. And the reason I want to talk about it is very quickly, it sort of gives a bit of a scale to what we do, and it does make you wonder. I don't know if it's a micro BT. I genuinely don't know what's going on in the HD0 world. I've not been told. So I'm guessing it's a new camera. We've had some new VTXs recently. Ryan's put a video out, so I thought I'd share it just to put that out there. We will talk about, I managed to break an 03 lens, and the controversy I caused this week by saying that those lenses you buy on AliExpress don't work because mine doesn't work and many other people's doesn't work. And whilst a few people have come on and said theirs is fine, the majority of people is not. But I actually managed, if I go to the overhead, something else that's not working. I woke that up before we came on stream and it didn't work. Stupid thing. Let me refocus that and try that again. Hey, I actually broke a lens on 03 this week on this quad. And this is the Defender 16. Nothing to do with the Defender itself. It was my inept flying around some wooden posts and I flew it into a bit of a... we'll refocus that properly in a minute. And I threw it into a wooden post and it's actually cracked the lens. We'll look at it properly a little bit more in a minute. And we will talk a bit more about the lens stuff. And then we will talk about what else have I seen this week. There is some new drones from iFlight. We have a Helion 10, which is something sort of interesting and not. I've just had in the Defender 20. I'm trying to get my review finished on the Defender 16. For those who don't know, I've actually had the Defender 16 for a little bit of time, but there's been a problem with the props that the KOLs were sent, not the users, and they were exploding as far as I know, and the new ones are fine. It's just taken a bit of time to get all of that sorted, and mine exploded as well. So I know Albert Kim's did, and we have some of the OpenIPC hardware. The DVR board arrived this week. And I will talk a little bit about this because I have flashed this tonight with the OpenIC firmware. And I actually have to say, right, the process isn't quite as bad as it sort of is made out on the documentation. And if the rest of it goes along that way, what I think there is a great need for is probably better documentation and video content on it. And look, I am going to put something together as I go through it. Anyway, but I have flashed it successfully. We now have OpenIPC on the DVR ground unit. I've still got the UART attached just for communications at the moment. But yeah, it really... The problems I had were more documentation than the actual process. It's like 5 lines of code. 5 or 6 lines of code in it's passing my mind, in PuTTY. And you have got to set up a TTP server on your computer, but that's really easy. And once you understand what you're doing, is all you're really doing is putting the firmware on the server, point the folder to it, and then point that to the firmware and tell it to download it over your network. And it didn't work for me the first time, but that was because I typed the commands and I think I mistyped something. So what I did the second time is just copy and pasted the commands. Boom, straight through. Literally a few minutes. But what was interesting, and I have to say, kudos to whoever the guys on the OpenIPC Telegram was, there was a hardware mod that we had to make on the DVR. Very, very small one on the UART. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on as well. So, yeah. Now, it's been a rather quiet week in FPV. You'll notice there wasn't a lot of content from me this week. That's because I was ill. I took a week out just to sort my health out. I've had some stuff going on and I hope I'm getting towards the right side of that now. And I just did very little this week at all. The only video I did actually was that one which I actually did last weekend on the camera lens. This week, you will finally have the MT12 review. That is finished and that's going out. That turned out to be nearly 38 minutes, actually. And I did finish it with the Rover driving around. I also have my run cam video coming on the Night Eagle. That's an interesting camera, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute as well. And that's a... I don't really know what to say about that camera, the Night Eagle. For those who haven't seen, it's a fully black and white camera. There's nothing wrong with it. Other than I don't know who it's for. So for those who haven't seen, you've got this Night Eagle camera, which is this one here, which gives you night footage. It's permanently black and white. And it's as good as any proper day and night CCTV camera. It's not that the camera is bad. I just don't really understand who it's for. I sort of know, but I don't want to talk about it. It's the sort of camera, I think, that's designed if you were flying somewhere where you wanted to fly undetected, so you want to do it at night and maybe drop off some payloads. I just don't know who the general consumer FPV market is for this product. And that's the bit I'm confused about. But I might show you a little bit of footage from it in a minute, actually, just to show you it. Payloads. It just feels an odd camera. It's definitely better than the Polar at night, but how many people fly at night? But actually, there's something about it that's very interesting, and I don't know if that's been mentioned in other people's reviews because I've not read it. The DJI version 1 FPV system actually really struggles with it in daylight. The compression just doesn't know what to do with that grayscale image. And that's also something you need to take into account. And I'll actually show you a little bit on this whilst we're talking about it. If I can get my computer to wake up, I need to unplug one of my external hard drives. 1 second. It's holding up, constantly holding up me going into my folder. And again, it's not that it's bad, because it isn't bad. It's just, it's a bit of a weird one. It really is. Now, I put this, right, on a Defender 25, in fact. It's on the Defender 25. I put it on a Whoop, just because I just didn't really fancy putting it into anything bigger, because I just didn't see the point. But if I just go desktop and show you it in the daylight... Oh, wait a minute. Let me just turn off the subtitles. This is it in pure daylight conditions, okay? So this is it normal daytime flying. I just did a quick couple of tests just to see what it's like. And the first thing you'll notice is there's very little detail in the grass because it all grays out. So contrast-wise, everything sort of becomes, you know, it's 40% grey almost, and everything becomes a mush around that. But what you really start to see is when you get into the detail areas, the compression really struggles with everything just being grey, and you actually get breakup. You actually get the blocking on the compression. There, can you see it? Like, I'm literally standing there, and look, this is all compressing up because it doesn't know what to do with all of this. It can't handle high frequency detail in grey. Now, it is worth noticing, it's just like walks now, but black and white. Yeah, you're about right. It's actually better on the field because it's more mush grey. But the second you get into the high frequency detail, it really struggles. And it's not that it's a bad camera, it's just the system was never designed for this kind of image. This is what we did before Color TV. Yeah, and it's just to give you an idea of how it looks there. And this was just daylight. But among the trees, it really starts to struggle. It really did start to struggle among the trees there. Now, oh, come on. Just to give you an idea of how it could look in the night, I found some footage on an SD card that showed it in that same area, but just in the dark. It was very windy this night, so I was just moving around just to see how it was. And it gives you, it's really IR sensitive. That's something I will say. The camera is very IR sensitive. But what it isn't is it looks decent. Now, just to be clear, that field is like no light. And I mean, put your hand there, you wouldn't see it. So it's not bad. It's really not bad. And I hit some. I think I landed. Did I land then? No, I crashed. Now, but this gives you an idea. It's not that it's bad. I think it's actually very, very decent. But I'm just not sure who it's for. That's the bit I'm a bit confused about, you know. But hey, if you were looking for, say, a vehicle moving that you wanted to go, high five, I guess. That isn't the world on fire. That is a flaring oil refinery. It looks cheaper than the $3,000. Yes. But look, it's absolutely viable. And again, I'm just going to say there, that's no light. You know, hand there. I am Cliff. Yeah, big oil. I have a Valero oil refinery. But it just gives you an idea of what it looks like. It is absolutely flyable. Absolutely flyable. In like zero light. Does look like it's on fire, doesn't it? So that gives you an idea. Again, I think the camera itself is very good at what it does. I'm just not sure who it's for. I can bet there'll be a few of these sold, you know, around the Chernobyl area is the term I'll use. How does it compare with the Polar? It's definitely better at night than the Polar. It's by far, it does do a better job at night than the Polar. Definitely. I don't do a comparison, mostly because I ran out of time. That was the DJI camera from Runcam. I just think it's... I'm not sure. Look, if you have to fly in complete darkness, it's the camera to go for. That's all there's to say about it. That's the basics. If you have to fly in complete darkness. So, that's coming this week as well. And it's not a bad camera. There's nothing bad about it. Yeah. So, anyway, we should get on with the proper show. Now, we've got 191 amazing people here. Now, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat who's just joined us. So, the first thing I just want to talk quickly about is this. And that is, something new is coming from HD Zero. And I genuinely have no idea what it is. But I want to talk about it because I do feel that probably HD Zero doesn't get as much attention as the other FPV systems. And that is largely because what you tend to find with HD0, and I said this on the group this week, actually, there was a post around why HD0 hasn't propagated more and why more people aren't talking about it. And in HD0 keeps releasing good, solid improvements. I'm just going to come back to this before I go back to that. So HD0 releases good, solid improvements. So we've had multiple VTXs, Race V1, Race V2, Freestyle 1, Freestyle 2. We've had lots of nice things, but it's often not very sexy. The biggest deal in HD0 was the goggles. And look, it got so much attention. I spoke about it a huge amount. Lots of people did. But then everything else sort of becomes pretty sort of incremental movements forward. And don't get me wrong, when there's a new VTX, I always make a video about it. Not always when there's a new camera, but if I'm sent one, I will absolutely talk about it. But HD0 definitely doesn't get the airtime that some of the other systems do, and I don't fully understand why that's the case. All I can really say from my point of view is sometimes there's just not enough nice stuff to talk about. Sometimes it feels very drawn out. Take the 1080p mode. I've sort of lost track now about it. It was announced with the goggles. It didn't work. Then there's test firmware. Then it didn't work. And then there's new test firmware. And I can't remember what the situation is today. And I've sort of lost interest because of this back and forth. What you almost need is, here's a feature, 3 weeks later it's released, there you go, everyone's happy. And when things have been dragged out a little bit, people like me just tends to get lost in all of the other noise. But look, there is something new coming. Ryan has put a video out, and I would suggest watching it, because what I'm going to show you here is a stream on a stream, which is never a good thing. We don't know what it is. I think it's something that looks like it's 90 frames a second. I think it's a very high frame rate, whatever the camera is, once we skip the advert. Now, I don't even know what setting this is in, so 1440. I just want to make sure I'm showing it properly. Ryan is showing it. I think the actual colours and everything look really nice. I don't really know what it is. It's going to be coming. Obviously, Ryan always gives a bit of a hint about what's coming around the corner. If you're interested in finding out more, please do check out his video. You know, there's no point me showing the whole thing, because all you're seeing is a bit of flying around the park. You want to sort of observe it for yourself on your own system. But what it means is something new is coming. That's all we know at this time. Looking at the props, shutter wise, that looks like to be a rolling shutter, does it not? But yeah, something new. We're gonna have to see what it is. Overall, when it comes out, I will talk about it. That's really all I can say right now. There has been a beta firmware update for the HD0 goggles. I've lost track where it is. If I'm going to criticize HD0 for one thing, I think they need to nail the firmware releases and the way it happens a bit better. It's hard for people to keep up with, including me. And I think that's something they could probably do a little bit better on. Someone just posted, he's like 100 feet from himself and nothing between him and the breakup. Yeah, but you've got to take a look. HD0 is uncompromisably a different system. There is no buffer here. So any form of signal degradation will result in an effect on the display. It's just how it works. It doesn't mean the signal is necessarily bad. It just means some of the data at that point has not made it through properly. And this is actually quite interesting when we talk about HD0 and what I was talking about on the HD0 Facebook page, actually. And I put a big post on, and I'll leave this up whilst it's running. HD0 is designed to be a direct analog replacement HD system in the way it works. Not two-way, no buffer, streamed video. That's how it is. It is without doubt uncompromisably about latency. In every situation, it prioritizes latency over image. It has no other option. It's as simple as that. It just shows it, puts it on the display, it moves on. Now, my personal opinion is, and not everyone will agree with this, and this is just an opinion based on the data that I've seen, is that most pilots, whether it be fixed wing, bando bashing, and general FPV, non-racing, will accept the trade-off of variable latency for the benefit of a two-way system which gives better penetration and image quality. So what you have is a choice. You either accept the latency remains fixed and the image breaks up, or the latency moves and the image is recovered. And overall, I would say the sales numbers, the groups, the video views, the overall out and out numbers and data show that most people will accept the compromise of image over latency. However, a mid-roll from Ryan, or was that the end of the video? No, it was the end of the video. However, when it comes to racing, this is a non-discussion. Not even open for debate. Fixed latency, lowest latency possible, on par with analog. In fact, lower than many standard analog cameras, HD0 in 90 frames a second mode. There are analog cameras that are 30 frames a second, because remember, analog is actually not progressive. It's interlaced, so as such, you're actually getting 60 fields a second, which is 30 frames a second, which isn't 16 milliseconds per frame. You're actually over into the 30s. But for most flying, I think people take the trade-off, their personal preferences. I would rather have something on image a second, so breakup, digital breakup, or the latency spike rather than have that instant loss of image. And there is something about that instant loss of image that makes people uncomfortable. And it does me at times. Even when you say you fly and you just get an instant flash of loss and back on HD0, there is something uncomfortable about that for me. And most people, I think, would prefer a slight blocking of the image and it carries on. I'll be honest, the placebo could even be the fact that what you're seeing is still the last frame. And you might not even be seeing a fresh frame of data, but the placebo is you still have image. And I honestly believe overall that's where people's preference is. It doesn't mean HD0 is bad. This is a technical difference between how the systems do what they do. That's all it is. You know, HD0 does what it does better than anyone has ever done that before. So HD0 is based on joint source channel coding. Amiens ProSight was based on joint source channel coding, and that was terrible. Carl has done it better than anyone else has. But the way to think about this, and I was thinking about this earlier today, is think of this a bit like the rotary engine versus a four-cylinder engine. If you know what I mean by the rotary, the Wankler engine that Mazda made. HD0 is like that. And DJI is like a traditional four-cylinder. They can both do the same things. They just do it differently, and some has benefits and some has downsides. And that's it. And don't get me wrong, HD0 is amazing on whoops. It is amazing in racing. But I do think people overall will accept the compromise of a two-way system if they predominantly fly bigger quads. And take me, for instance. I am more than happy as a useless pilot on O3 on Cine Whoops because I accept the payoff. And I'm lucky. I've got all of the systems. I can choose the one I want. But I'm more than happy to do that. And this is the problem. And HD0 is doing amazing stuff, and it deserves more highlighting than it gets from many of the people like me. Now, here is what would be amazing to see from HD0 is a two-mode system. Because I'll be honest, I think there is a market for a system. If Carl could make a future version of HD0 that has a compressed mode like DJI with all of that side, and has a racing mode which drops back to traditional HD0. That would be the pinnacle. And that would give you the best of both worlds. Because look, let's be honest, Avatar HD's racing mode is not racing. Let's not sugarcoat this. I'm sorry, but it's not racing. To make a fusion like HD0 walks there. Yeah, and that's it. You need a fusion. You know, the problem is Carl is in one corner with one type of system, and DJ and Avatar are in another corner with another type of system. And people are having to choose between the two. Really, what we need today is everyone to be able to go, you can have a racing mode, which is a single-way streaming, like HD0, and you can have a compressed mode, which is for your longer range. Now, the interesting thing when you think about this, when we had analog, we didn't know any better. So this all changed when DJI, I should say, released the OcuSync FPV system. DJI introduced us to the option of a two-way system. Because this is the thing, you've got to get away from DJI versus HD0, DJI Avatar HD versus HD0. This is fundamental differences in how the data is delivered and the physics around how it will behave. So you have a streaming video system with no buffer. It's sent. If the data makes it, you get it on the screen. If the data doesn't make it, you get breakup. And then you have one other system which sends a huge amount of data, which a percentage of that data has a bulk of error correction in. So if some of that data gets lost, it can go back and go, hold on a minute, let me just move some of the jigsaw puzzle pieces around and rebuild the image. Or if it can't do that, it'll say, hey, pause that next bit of data, send me that again. And it'll increase latency and wait. And that's what you've got. And it's not fair to say HD0 is good or bad in 1.1. They're trying to do very, very, very different things. But the problem you've got is you have HD0 built up as a company around that system. And I just don't know, genuinely, it's nothing to do with HD0, if enough people will ever be happy with that streaming system in general FPV. I just don't know. In the end, I think if you gave people both... Look, you go into a cake shop, and I've used this analogy before. You go into a cake shop, and they've got all these lovely cakes, and there's one there that might say 0% fat, but there's another one there covered in cream with cherries and Smarties on top. You know which one you're buying because we buy with our eyes. We buy with how we feel. We buy with emotion. We choose with these things. And DJI has a wow factor when you put it on, always has. And you then sit there and go, oh, but that image quality, but that. And then you go, oh, but the variable latency, I can't race with it, but it's not that bad. And when people talk about latency, I still fundamentally believe 90% of pilots don't care. And that is why so many 60 frames a second cameras are still sold today. How many DJI pilots are still flying in 60 frames a second mode, not 120? How many O3 pilots are flying in the high latency mode because they simply don't understand the difference between how the systems work, O3 versus the original FPV system, and as such, they're actually flying in high latency mode versus low latency mode. As long as it's not over like 40, 45 milliseconds, I think most people are fine. And that's the fundamental. So, anyway, that's my little rant. HD0, something new coming. We don't know what it is. I'll order one and I'll let you know when it comes, when I get told, if I get told. And I look forward to seeing what comes from them. Now, just to catch up on the chat, Quad City Bay Area, thank you for the $5 super chat. HD0 breakup is a choice, or they can't do breakup. They can't do it like DJI or Walksnail. That's not possible. So the only thing they could do is there's been talk about HD0, whether you could change how the color looks, because what can be quite startling on HD0 is when you get like bright red spots and things like that. What many people will have said they prefer is if it went to like black, would be better. Barely fly is a bit harsh. I try not to. You don't see most of what I do, is what I will say, and there's a reason for that. All these digital systems are limited on the maximum output versus analog. Match test on this, yeah. Just catching down. Card could sell to Walksnail. There is a complication with HD0 as well in the business model. And actually, Sean Morrison brought this up. Sean, Rotor Riot, Sean, for those who don't know. Sean Morrison brought this up. And this is an interesting subject. And it is HD0 being stifled by the fact that it only sells direct, largely. You can get it from dealers, but it's really got no margin for dealers. We've heard there's all sorts of noise in the past. I know Carl has done it to try and keep the price down, but there is a chicken and egg situation. And if the product isn't in dealers, it's going to restrict visibility. And let me, just as a... I haven't looked. This is something that's just entered my head. We'll go on Rotor Riot's website. And we will go on Get FPV. And look, I haven't done this pre-order. This is... Ooh, sorry, wrong camera. Just a thought over the top of my head. Drone parts. Video transmitters. Let's just have a look. Okay, so HD0 is listed. But look, one board. Okay. Cameras. No HD0 cameras. So again, you've got a single Whoop board, but nothing else. And that's the old one. If we go by on here, electronics, would it be? Is it electronics? No, it's not under electronics. Where's FPV under here? Am I being mad? Radios? Commercial electronics, motors, batteries, radios, action cameras, planes, 3D printing on sale. Okay, that's weird. Where is the FPV stuff? Where's FP? Am I being mad? Top. Oh, sorry. I was going down. Okay, so if we ignore the goggles because we know they're direct. Okay, so HD FPV equipment, HD0. Okay, so yeah, look, they're shown. So that's good. Look, get FPV definitely as a good list. So that's really good to see. And in fact, I even saw the new VTX they look. So that's good. Get FPV. So okay, yeah, dealer's not so bad. Not so bad at all. Yeah, you know, we do know in the UK. UK is pretty good, so we don't get problems. And look, lots of cameras as well, look. Although, out of stock. Yeah. Yeah, so it's not as bad as I thought. Not as bad as I thought. Overall. Just catch up on the chat a second. The V4 VRX has been out of stock, I believe. I don't know if it's available, but anyway, we'll move on from HD0. We've talked about that enough. No one can ever say we haven't spoke about it. Right. The next thing we're going to quickly get on to is the Avatar HD system. Now, there's two things I want to talk about here. Number one is that some goggles are now reaching people's hands. Not everyone. I know a small number of people who've received their goggles. I've not seen the official firmware land on the Caddx website yet. If we go to Caddx FPV, I don't believe we've seen the version 1 firmware land on their website yet. So if we go down to Download Center, we've got 3D. Where's the firmware? No, we haven't got it here yet. They've just got this beta firmware. So we haven't got the new firmware yet. Although people are starting to receive them. We have this week, though, had some images just showing us the scale of production. And we've seen these were sent out by Caddx FPV saying they're getting ready. So we got people here doing the assembly. We've got goggles, obviously just off the production line, sitting there on foam to stop them getting damaged. Obviously looking like they're ready for testing. And then racks and racks of goggles, in fact. Quite a lot, isn't there, when you look at it? On the shelving, looking ready to go. Doesn't look like a happy place to work. I'm not sure that any of these places ever are. I think you got a lot of people probably concentrating on what they're doing. Overall, I think, look, we believe Caddx are now manufacturing these themselves on site. So this will be the first product, the first goggle product they're making themselves. Looks pretty much standard practice, the way it all looks. So, yeah, hopefully people will start getting them soon. As I've said, we have had some people report that they are getting theirs. We just haven't had the mass volume seem to hit out yet. I'm not actually surprised if Caddx are running a little bit behind, if I'm honest. I wouldn't be shocked. It's, as I said, my understanding is it's a new manufacturing process for them, and it's probably going to take a bit of time to get it right. Now, alongside this, I am just going to touch on this a little bit, and this was a statement that Caddx put out this week. About, well, let me read what they say. And I have shared some thoughts on this before. So, Caddx say, your inspiration comes just at the right time. Recently, we received feedback from some customers about why the Walksnail Avatar system is not available in many FPV drone stores. If you don't know what that is referring to, that is referring to the allegation, and let me be crystal clear. The allegation is an allegation and nothing more. That DJI is forcing vendors to not work with Cadex if they want to get O3. And a topic in the community caused widespread discussion. Many popular drone manufacturers were forced to stop cooperating with Walksnail. Now, just be clear, this accusation comes from users, nowhere else. There was, though, a leaked image, apparently from a rep at GEP RC, that said they couldn't make them because of DJI. But let me be clear on that. That is an allegation still, and we have seen no further evidence that that is true, and I want to talk about that a bit more in a minute. And as much as we don't want this to happen, unfortunately it does. It has always been our goal to serve the community and lead pilots to overcome obstacles, better innovation and product performance. We encourage equality and competition. We also sincerely listen to the market's ideas and suggestions. I have no doubts in that statement at all. Surely we also seriously resist the so-called unilateral stronghold. That's obviously an accusation against DJI. And it should be a community where everyone can feel relaxed and happy. This is FPV. No one's relaxed and happy. Everyone's bitching and moaning about everything. We don't want things to be complicated by unfair competition and trade monopoly. In order for the market to purchase and use Walksnail Avatar in a more open and a fair way, we would like to invite all drone experts to work with us to design our own drone. Yes, perhaps it's the time we have to improve our production levels so all customers have always liked and supported us can obtain Walksnail Avatar system in the fastest way, enjoy HD and fly wherever they want. Now, this is an interesting statement, and look, I'm going to say this. I have spoke to a number of people behind closed doors on this subject. No one has said to me or confirmed or backed up the allegation that's been made publicly that DJI is forcing vendors not to work with Cadex. The comments that I've had are that demand, reliability, and brand recognition are the reasons most would choose DJI for building bind and flies compared to other brands. Putting in a DJI O3E unit, a Cadex Vista, almost guarantees close to zero failure rate because they are very reliable. It is a widely known brand, and the sales reflect what people want. Now, it's not for me to say what's true and what's not because I don't know. It's that simple. Do I think DJI would do deals for exclusivity? Absolutely. But when you start using words like forced to stop using our systems, I think you have to be very careful, and I would start to call BS on words like forced. No one is forced to do anything unless there's a gun to their head. Do I think DJI will offer incentives? Oh yeah, that's right up their street. That's what DJI have done for years. That's business. I'm sorry, that's normal. If we want to go down the road of big companies behaving badly, you want to hear what Microsoft did in the 80s to gain the market hold that they got. I don't believe for 1 minute DJI actively does things to say, don't use that. What I would say, DJI, is, hey, how about if you take 100 of these and sell them in your drones for the next year, we'll give them to you at 30% discount. Yeah, and as someone has just said, FPV is not DJI's main market. Yeah. So, look, I think this was created by a very small or one person. Yes, there is that image from the GEP RC rep. But look, we live in a age of AI. I'll be honest, it's at the stage now. And nothing you can see you can believe anymore on this. Sidestepping is the development response. Yeah, you know, I think if they want more binding flies, then go talk to them. You know, go get the companies on board. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Reliability has been an issue for the Avatar stuff, especially the 1S. I burnt a 1S in here in a crash myself. But something, look, we're living in a world, I'll be honest, where seeing a text message means nothing anymore. And look, I'm not being funny, right? I wouldn't even be shocked if it was a stupid comment made by a GEP RC rep. I don't deal with GEP RC. Never got them to reply to an email from me. Can't get them to answer any questions on products or anything, so I don't know. I don't know their people. But what I can tell you is this. I have some very old messages from Caddx reps that raise a few question marks, especially around the time that we were talking about the Vista being locked down on firmware. Remember when I called Caddx out for that BS? Remember, we are working on canvas mode. Trust me, all of these companies play a game. Caddx said they were working on canvas mode. They worked on it from the day I passed them the information on from Yapoo, yet they put it on Facebook instantly. We're working on canvas mode. Caddx do have a habit of shooting their mouth very early in the day, just like on the 1st of October or mid-September saying, hey, we got something new. And then people have to wait till the end of the month. Why? Because they have a habit of running out there. Now, look, I have nothing against Caddx, but I'll still call... People call me a shill for Caddx these days. I'll call them out whenever they still do something bad. Their marketing today is as bad as it's ever been. That's what I will say. And you should... Look, that's why I was very careful on the video that I made on the review of the goggles to give you the data you need, not just follow their marketing nonsense. Look, I have to say, they are smashing it out the park with listening to users, sorting out problems, and actually getting a decent product there. It was a crap show at the start, and I said it. Remember that. I was the one that sat there and said, this is alpha at best. Whilst everyone's telling you how amazing it was at Rampage. But they have now, in my opinion, created probably the best overall system today. And it's still not perfect. The compression is still junk. But it is much, much better. Much, much better than it was. And I'll be honest, the goggles for me have been a bit of a joy using the system. It's now... It's there. And look, I love how O3 looks. O3 looks amazing. But I can give up that bit of image for the lack of hassle. So, look, Caddx is Caddx. They are not a terrible company, but they're not the best company in the world. Same as DJI. I do, though, find this a bit hypocritical is the term I'll use. That's the term I'll use, and it's never a good look. And I wouldn't believe everything you read. And all I can tell you is the information I had doesn't align with that. Okay. Moving on. Now, before we do, I want to say a big thank you to the 208 people watching. If you have any questions, put them in there. There was a question I missed earlier. If you posted a question earlier about DJI system, I missed it. Post it again and I will answer it for you. I do apologise. While we're doing this, please do give us a like. We've only got 67 of them. If we can get it up to 100, I would appreciate that as well. Don't worry, I'm not going to shove a mid-roll in. I'm not going to do a sponsored spot. I'm not going to push you over to the Mads merch store, or I'm not going to push you over to anything, but I will just mention I do have a Patreon, and I have just turned on channel membership today on the channel at people's request. So if you're interested in them, they are there. That's as far as I'm going to go. But I do want to say a big thank you to all of my Patreons. You are amazing. So here's the question from Hillside FPV. Question: is the DJI FPV goggles V2 with the O3 E unit the same range as with the goggles 2? Look, it's almost impossible to say, do they perform exactly the same? Because the system is largely the same. It should perform similarly. But one person will get 2 kilometers on a system and one person will get 10 kilometers. There's no fundamental reason why on the V2 you wouldn't get as much performance as you would on the goggles 2. But what I will say is this. You have better antenna options on the V2. So, for instance, you should be able to get better performance on O3 on the V2 goggles if you've got a crystal patch installed and then you replace all the antennas and you're able to push it like that. No, I don't have a merch store. Erlon. I was doing a special edition rulers for a while. I need to do another batch of them. What about O4? We know nothing. There is no evidence to suggest there will be an O4 Air unit anytime soon. The information we have on the new DJI goggles is that they are going to be made for a new DJI drone. The belief is that some form of Avata 2 or something else alongside the Avata. We don't know, but it falls into that product naming, numbering. The numbers match. It's got an FPV product-related number. Therefore, we think it might be an Avata 2, or it could be something else. A bigger Avata? Who knows? My personal belief is DJI will not replace the FPV drone. The FPV drone will just die. If they were going to do that, they would have done it by now. The FPV drone will die, and maybe you'll have the Avata and maybe something else, like a bigger Avata. Oh, I was going to talk about them tonight. Someone just reminded me of the O4 goggles. The Skyzen O4 Pros. We need to talk about them. Not yet, but in a minute. DJI Freestyle. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever replace my off-the-record understanding was the FPV drone was a customer service nightmare for them. The product is fine, but from a customer service point of view, you'd look at it and the arms would fall off. And I think they don't want to go down that road again. Now, if you look at the Avata, DJI took everything they did badly on the FPV drone and fixed it on the Avata. Yes, the potato. The Avata is bomb-proof. Genuinely, that drone is bomb-proof. It really, really is. So I think if anything they do, they will do around that style again. A sub 250 Avata, maybe. It's all we know is the goggles are being done in co-development with the drone. There is no evidence yet of a new O4 Air unit. However, let me say something else clear, and Junus reminded me of this the other day. The development path for O3 started with the Avata. So you had the goggles 2 and the Avata, and then they split the Avata off 2 ways, Avata and O3 Air unit. Because remember, the O3E unit is almost identical to the main brains of the Avata. The only difference is the Avata's got a bloody ESC in it. It's not the same boards. They have redesigned the boards a little bit. But the Avata does something very different to most of DJI's other drones. And that is DJI don't run the flight code on the Avata on a separate SoC. So most DJI drones, they're running the flight stack on an STM32. Okay? So the actual flight code's on an STM32. And then you have their Linux OS on the H2 or the Eagle 3T. And then that has all of the camera-related and object sensing stuff. But the base flight code on most of their drones actually runs still on an STM32. However, the Avata was the first drone. Is it on the Mavics now as well? When I thought that changed. I thought the Avata was the first, Eunice. I thought the Avata was the first to do that, and then they did it on the others. Or did they do it on the others first? Because on the Mavic 2, it's on the STM32. Because I'm thinking that far back. You might not be quite thinking as far back as I am on this. Because I'm thinking back. Mavic, yeah, which Mavic? Video on E, FC on E1E. Mavic 3, yeah, I'm thinking further back. I'm thinking way further back. Mavic 2, Mavic 1, Phantoms, Mavic 3. Because Mavic 3 would have been, what, co-development with Avata time. It's all that same time. But the big difference is DJI had changed it on that and they separated off. So we don't know. Look, we don't know. No one knows. Oh, it'll happen at some point. Yeah. See, I still think back in terms of Mavic 2, Mini 2, all of the older stuff where it all ran on the STM32s. I always keep going right back. I don't quite go back to the NASA, but it was STM32. But I thought the Avata was the first one they did it on. I thought the Avata was the first one, but I could be being confused. Unless it was the Avata first. Yeah. For a single chip. Yes. That's it. Yeah. Anyways, who knows? We'll see. It'll be around the corner. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, because they're running multiple chips on the other aircraft, aren't they? As you said up there, because they're doing video on Eagle 2, FC on E1E. Yeah, because they use the most. When will the Goggles X be released? Anytime. Yeah, just E1E, not STM32. Right, yeah. So, yeah, because basically what they did is they transitioned from STM32 with the Linux on, say, the H2 on the early stuff, the H1 they had on some of the stuff. Then they moved it over to the 2-chip solution, and then you got the single-chip solution. It all gets very complicated, especially when you're trying to figure out where they did stuff and when. Has anyone tried the DJI 4G module? It doesn't tend to work in the Europe or outside of that. So anyway, we don't know on 04. We're just going to have to wait and see. That's all we can do. But DJI have transitioned on their stuff over the years. And this is, again, going to be another transition. You know, look, if we go back on the Mavic 1... was lead core, then they moved to still lead core now technically, but then the P1 on the Mavic 2 stroke 2 plus, because they changed it in the remote halfway through, if I recall off the top of my head, and then the Mavic 3s, and then the FPV drone. I think they'll let the FPV drone die. You know, we've seen the model number publicly stated for this new drone. We've seen the goggles number publicly stated. We're just going to wait and see. I'll be honest, everyone's talking about new goggles. You ain't going to be paying less than $500-600 for them, so expect it to be expensive. It will be, dear. Okay. The potato chip. just to make sure there will be no issues with goggles. No one knows. No one knows what compatibility would be. Look, I'd like to think, based on DJI's recent history, that they will give us some compatibility, but who knows? Right. As someone brought it up, it's now time to mention this. So, I'm going to get myself ready for this one. This week, Skyzone have released a new set of analog FPV goggles. And I said, yes, analog FPV. And that is called the Skyzone 04X Pro, I think it is. At least the Skyzone 04X Pro Edition. Now, if we hop over to the desktop, we can take a look. And this new set of goggles is an upgraded version of the Skyzone 04X. They have made a number of changes. And I'm going to use the word changes, not improvements, because it remains to be seen if they're improvements. And those changes are that they have 1920 by 1080p OLED displays. They've increased the field of view to 52 degrees, up from 46 degrees on the original 04X. They have 4x3 and 16x9, all the IPDs, H.264 60 frames a second DVR, but the displays support 100 frames a second, and they will support HDMI in up to 720p 100 frames a second. They have a built-in head tracker, 3-axis gyro, 3-axis accelerometer. They weigh 267 grams. And the idea is that they've given us a new top-of-the-range box goggle. Now, there is no integrated digital in this. You are buying an analog FPV goggle. It does come with the Skyview receiver as standard. And originally, they're saying it was priced at $599, which I am going to call complete and utter bullshit on, because the product is basically a frickin' pre-order, and they're saying it's reduced from $599. So that is bullshit before we start. But they're selling it on sale as a brand new product for $499. Now, I have not seen these. I've not tested these. I can't comment. I will say this. The Skyzone 04X was by far my favorite goggle overall. But I have some concerns, and I'll be honest with you. I've not seen a small FPV goggle with a field of view over 46 degrees that actually works well. So, Skyzone 04X, brilliant. Avatar HD goggles version 1, 46 degrees, perfect. DJI goggles 2, small goggle, 50 degree field of view, I think it is, not great. Avatar goggles X, they've increased that field of view. I can't remember what it is now. It has a compromise. I have a horrible feeling, and I haven't tried this. I have a horrible feeling they may have pushed it too far with the optics, but we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I don't know what really to say about these. Look, the 04X version 2 was a 1280 by 960, so they've upgraded the resolution of the screen to 1920 by 1080. I suspect they'll look really nice. I'm not sure it's easy to justify a set of analog-only goggles at that price today. I think the world has changed. And I'm not sure it is easy to sell a set of analog goggles at that price. I'd love to try them. I don't really deal with Sky Zone. I bought mine, so I've not been asked to review them. I've not had anyone reach out. I'd like to try them. I'd like to see what the optics are like, because look, if they have delivered a 52 field of view without any vignetting, without any optical distortion, then they have achieved what no one else has. So that I would like to see. If they've done that, they have done a miracle, because no one else has, but we'd have to see it. It is a lot of money for an analog goggle. It does look like it supports the dual module. I'm guessing it does SteadyView X as it did before. Pretty much the same goggle if you look. There's no real major changes. New user interface. New optics. So you got head tracking out, AV, all the usual stuff, but I don't know. I believe it's the same goggle in new optics. Yeah, that's basically what it is. I think it's a lot of money. I'd love to try them. I genuinely would like to try them. But for less, you can get the Avatar Goggles X with a digital system built in, but you haven't got analog. Look, I think if you take into the fact you've got an analog receiver in there, they don't support quadversity. They don't. Where does it say they don't? Oh, there's a fan on that side, is there? They had to make room for a fan, have they? So is that mentioned in the docs, or has that been mentioned on a review, is it? There's a fan. Right, okay. So on this side now, there's a fan, is there? It says it on their site. Let's just have a look. I'm on the site now. Sorry. To be aware, to cool high-performance OLED panels, the right side bay is installed with cooling fan, so the 040X Pro didn't support quadversity mode. Well, that's shit. So it's the same housing then, that means. So because they haven't been able to redesign it. Yeah. I'd like to try them, but I'm feeling it hard to get excited about that. Nude Cooper, the news was Ryan has a video, says there's something new coming, but I don't have any info. It was just me talking about Ryan's video. I can't tell you. We believe off the record there's whispers of a new camera, but we don't know what it is. Yeah, I'm not surprised at the price, but I just think, look, if you're going to deliver, I don't know. I always hoped Sky Zone would make a HD0 goggle. That's a marriage made in heaven, I think. That is a marriage made in heaven. I think it's just a kick in the ass for people who might want to upgrade to them. So JP Spin FPV, I never used it, was quadversity substantial. I tested it, but I think for the people who might want to upgrade who've already invested in it, it's just a bit of a kick in the teeth. Do we know if the VRX and Goggles V1 are getting the software update for the new goggles? Carl B, I don't. So, I don't know what the situation on Avatar HD with the new firmware is. We're going to have to wait and see. My understanding is the new firmware that is coming out dramatically improves the Flash and OSD performance. Hello, Fairserve. Mad's favourite, biggest fan. So, one analog module and a Walk Snail VRX. You could use that on the Sky Zones. I stupidly sold my 04Xs for HD0 and I regret it because the optics being so tiny. I don't find the optics that small on the HD0. I don't know whether to buy 03 with V2 goggles or get the 04X Pro because I'm flying with EV800. Look, I would find it hard to invest in an analog goggle. Do you like the SpeedyB analog adapter? I have not tried it. I was offered it to review and I turned it down. I just don't fly enough analog and I didn't have the time to talk about it. So I decided not to go ahead with that review. As much as I could have really done with another analog module, genuinely, I could really do with another analog module. I chose not to accept it because I just didn't have the time to make the video. But I've not heard any bad feedback on it. Just catching down on the chat. Right, what else was I going to talk about? A couple of other things before we move on to Q&A. So, iFlight this week have released a new quad. Bit weird. Not sure how I feel about this one either. It is called the Helion 10. Let me get my mouse. It is a large 10-inch quad that, let me just get to YouTube. It's been designed in relation with some really good people, actually. Where I have a few questions is over some of the wording used in the marketing material. And I'm a big fan of iFlight, and iFlight are a very big supporter of this channel. However, I'm sorry, some of the wording in this advert is nonsense. So let's just get this ready first of all so you can see it. And what I want to do is I'm not going to play the music, but just listen, watch the words on the bottom that come up, okay? And I'll tell you in a minute. Let me just skip the ad. So let's start here. Actually, no, we're going to want... I'm going to put the desktop audio on for this. Oh, there's no desktop audio. That's weird. Audio source. That's interesting. I haven't created one. That's a bit weird. 2 seconds. Add audio input. Oh no, that's a bit weird. I've not got a desktop audio source. Well, that's a bit dull. Let me just mute that. Why have I not got an audio source for the desktop? That's really weird. Right. You're going to hear it then through my mic. So I'm going to stop talking.
We've all dreamed of flying. This is just how we humans are. What if there was a beast as nimble as a dragonfly, with the looks and lines of the Lamborghini, allowing you to go higher, further, and faster? Claiming the skies from the Arctic circles, over the scenic Swiss Alps, to the lush South American jungles. Introducing Helion. Helion was developed by industry experts.
Yeah, I know it's probably low.
For more range, more flight time, while maintaining enough weight to have excellent stability in even the most windy conditions. With a size of 10 inches, Helion is capable to effectively carry large batteries while ensuring great efficiency. Helion has better dive recovery and overall more control than traditional long-range crafts. Its unique aerodynamic shell allows for easy maintenance while protecting the cores of the powertrain when in use. Helion's distinct frame design was scientifically optimized to perfectly balance stability, weight, and rigidity. For additional safety, Helion contains the latest GPS modules to allow for you to always find your way back even on the longest of flights.
Let's just listen to that again, shall we? That right there, those words right there. I'm sorry, but I'm going to pick them up on this.
Find your way back and rigidity.
Now.
For additional safety, Helion contains the latest GPS modules to allow for you to always find your way back even on the longest of flights.
So it has the latest GPS modules, so it always finds its way back even on the longest of flights. The first person that loses one of these because of a low battery, I'd be saying, well, you said it will always find its way back. That's all I'm saying.
Whether you are new to long range or already an experienced ranger, Helion allows you to challenge your boundaries. Let's redefine long range together and show the world the life above the clouds.
Now,
We receive 40 hours of
shut up.
training, but
Stop. Right. Anyway, look, overall, I think it's a very nice looking aircraft. However, I do take offense with the words that it will always fly its way back. Now, this isn't a drone based on like DJI's software. For those who've flown a Mavic, DJI actually have some amazing fail-safe recovery, which is it knows how long it will take to fly back to the home point, and it will turn around itself and force fail-safe to make sure that you do. But that can't even take into account wind direction. So if you were flying with the wind on the way out, you'll be screwed on the way back. We've all done that one. I think they need to be very careful on their wording on that. It will always find its way back. Well, will it though? Especially if it's running Betaflight, is it running? Have they configured the GPS properly? Have they? That is a big ask. The wording on that should have been comes fitted with the latest GPS modules, allowing for improved fail-safe performance. That's what you could have said. For improved, comes fitted with the latest GPS modules to ensure that you always have satellite lock. I don't know. To say fitted with the latest GPS modules so it will always find its way home. No matter what happens, don't worry. The battery could be flat. You could fly it into a mountain. That GPS module will get you home. Now, am I being pedantic? Yes. However, I think that's some grade A marketing BS right there, and I'm going to call it out. Sorry, iFlight, but you put it in the ad. Overall, though, I think the quad looks really nice. I think that looks about 30 inches in size because, look, we all know 10 inches is about that long. So I think they've also measured the size of the aircraft incorrectly because that aircraft looks about that long, which is 30 or 40 inches because 10 inches is at least that. It's about that there. So I think they've got their measurements a little bit out. However, actually, I think it's a nice looking aircraft. And I do believe it's been designed with some very good people involved as well. Very interesting. I love long range quads. And it's one of the things I need to get round to doing is building a very nice long range bird that I can fly within visual line of sight at all times. But yeah, it's a nice looking machine. It's a very nice looking machine. Indeed. The target audience doesn't need the puffery in the ad. Yeah, I think I'll steer clear of that. It isn't. Chris is going to go love those antennas. Yeah, you know, it's not a cheap quad by any means. 949. Wait, why? Someone said it looks heavy. I don't think it is. So it has an aero shell, innovative A-frame for maximum performance. We've never seen an A-frame on a quad before, have we? Don't think we have. I've not seen quads with A-frames. You know, that I've not seen something with an A-frame. That's pretty new, I think, isn't it? A-frames, yeah, that's. USB-C power. You can power the action cam. That's cool. So it will actually power the action cam. Potential and upcoming potential new small cameras making Helion more future-proof. What's the potential new small cameras? 4K stabilized with 155-degree field of view because it's GPIO3. GPS functionality to find your way back on those ultra-long range meters. Betaflight GPS rescue mode ready, set up. Here's interesting. Now then. GPS functionality to find your way back on those ultra-long range missions. Long range? I'm not Jonathan Wass. Ultra-long range missions. Betaflight GPS rescue mode ready to set up. Default off to prevent unexpected behavior. Set of instructions including. So it comes with the latest GPS modules fitted, so it always finds its way back. Apart from it won't, because they've not enabled it in the firmware. I'm sorry, but that's a bit more grade A bullshit right there. iFlight will not be happy with me, but hey, I have to say what I think. It's a nice looking quad, but let's cut the bullshit here. Come on. Let's stop trying to treat people like bloody idiots. Other than that, it looks a nice quad. Genuinely, I don't know if they're going to sell this as a frame kit. I think it could be a very popular frame kit. Simple, take iNav. Yeah, if you're going to go long range, why are you using Betaflight? Let's be honest, it should be iNav. Even though I hate iNav on quads. I hate iNav on a quad. I don't get on with iNav. Should have been Aldra Pilot. Yeah. I think, look, we've got to cut through the nonsense sometimes, and that is what it is. That's probably me off the iFlight wish list, but they sent me some stuff this week as well. But hey ho. No, look, they're a good brand. I think they need to cut back some of this marketing nonsense, and let's be me realistic on what people are saying. Nice quad, not cheap. I'm not sure what makes that a $949 quad. Because let's be honest, right? That is a Nazgul in a bigger frame. And okay, the motors will. The motors and stuff. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Aldra Pilot's complicated. Yeah, I'm the same as you, AVO Physics. iNav on quads has never been good. It's strong money. That's for sure. I do like the big battery they've got on it as well. Need a Darwin version. Yeah. I think you just look with marketing material like that, people are going to get themselves in the crap, and you're going to be then arguing over what went wrong. Because I'll be honest, if I flew that out, right, and it lost, and I found out it was disabled, I'd be peeved. You know, it's not, look, as a brand, you've got to be careful not to cheat yourself into problems in the future. That's the problem. So basically, what they've said is they've installed the latest GPS modules, but they don't trust Betaflight. Still using Crossfire. I do get why they're using Crossfire on that. I do get why you'd go an 868 or 900 system. As of today, there's really not good off-the-shelf 868, 900 Express LRS modules out there. There's radios, but not modules. I think Express LRS, that side of things is a bit weak at the moment. For now. Leaking stuff again. I'm just catching up on the chat a minute. Radio Master doesn't have 900 modules at the moment, no. Super D is good, yeah. Right. Before we wrap this one up, we're going to talk about OpenIPC. So, and then we'll do the quick Q&A. So, this week I received my first part for the OpenIPC system, and that is this. This is the CCTV DVR board, the NVR board. Now, I have to say, the first thing that's incredible, right, is the price. This board's like £14-15 in the UK, right? Let me just refocus that camera. And you get a hell of a lot of board for 14-15 quid. Fair play. You know, it's got VGA output, HDMI, network port, 2 USBs, and then and then you got serial ATA for the hard drive. It's you know, it's a CCTV NVR. Now, this is the basis of the VRX module. It's quite big, but actually, let me just grab, just to be fair, the Avatar HD one. It's not really that much bigger than Avatar HD. If you put them side by side, there's not a lot in it, really. Is there? Like, it's bigger, don't get me wrong. But this hasn't been designed for FPV. It's just a DVR board. So, look, it's quite impressive, really. So, this is the basis of the NVR. Now, I'm still waiting on the other parts, the cameras and stuff, but I did flash this today. Now, the process for flashing this does look a little bit difficult, but actually it isn't remotely as bad as I thought once I'd done it. Now, the first issue you'll notice is you're going to need a FTDI adapter to be able to connect in. So if I just go back to the overhead again, we have a UART down here, TX, RX and ground, and I've put some cables on just to be able to go to a standard FTDI adapter, which is going to allow us to get into U-Boot. Now, there is a small hardware modification that you need to do to this before you can use it. Now, I'm not going to show you it too much on this, but let me just go right up towards the lens and refocus. Oh, I've run out of space for recording on OBS. Right, so let me find where we are. Ooh. Right, so where the wires are soldered to the board, you will see two solder jumpers. Now, this isn't a scope, this is just the camera. You will see that there's like two little lumps of solder. There was two resistors there, but you need to bypass them and replace them with just blobs of solder. Just bridge them over. I'm talking about those two blobs there, because the UART won't work until you do it. And then you simply solder on. Let's just get the camera back. Woohoo. You then simply solder on our connections for our UART, and then you're able to connect it to an FTDI adapter. Once you've done that, it's then simply a case of installing PuTTY, installing an FTP server on your computer, and what you actually do is via U-Boot is connect via the UART adapter. You tell it to go into a special mode, you tell it to download the new firmware which you get from the OpenIPC website, and then flash it. It actually is quite easy. You need enough solder skill to be able to replace those resistors and be able to use a UART board and follow some basic instructions. The UART worked. I couldn't get mine to work without the mod for some reason. Now, I will be doing a bit of a video on this, which makes it a block, coming. But it wasn't hard. Genuinely, it's not particularly difficult. The dock sort of makes it quite hard. You might not even need to bypass those resistors. Some people have, some people haven't. The documentation is a little light, and that's where the bigger problems are. But I flashed it. It's all ready to go. It shows OpenIPC. So on, if I've not got a thing to plug it in right now, but I do have an image I shared earlier on my Discord, which just shows it was working. Let me just find it. God, there's been a lot of chatter since I posted that. My Discord's getting very busy on this subject specifically. Let me just come over to here. There we go. So that's it there, showing you that it is running. That's the NVR. Easy if you know what to do. But yeah, that shows that the NVR's up and running. It's working. Good to go. I'm now at a stop until I get the cameras. And I need to order in BECs. I need two 5-volt BECs and two 3.3-volt BECs. I haven't done them yet, but I'll get them in the UK. So part one is done. The NVR is done. I've got to then get the Wi-Fi adapters, and I've got to connect the Wi-Fi adapter to this. And then I got to connect the Wi-Fi adapter to that. And then I've got to sort of understand the setup, because the documentation isn't really very good for people who don't know what they're doing. It doesn't guide you through it. It sort of just says, this is how you change your network name. Now, I'm assuming the network name needs to be the same on both sides, so the air side and the ground side will communicate. It doesn't say, step 1, install the software. Step 2, you need to configure the air side and ground side wireless details. Step 3, you need to do this. Step 4, it's not like that. But look, we're making progress. We have the MVR. I have no complaints at that process. Does that need to be easier? Yeah, for the public, but it's not terrible. It's not impossible. And it's all a learning curve. So, yeah, we're moving forward. Step 1, done. I've ordered everything. It's on its way. We've now just got to wait and see what happens when all of the stuff arrives. And then I got to flash the cameras because they're a bit more complicated, I believe, to flash. And we'll then start seeing what it's like. And so far, yeah, what I am going to do is I'm documenting what I'm doing, and then I'll document it out from there, if you know what I mean. And I'll do it as sort of, right, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then we'll move it forward from there then. But it isn't, what I would say with doing the MVR is, it isn't beginner level, but look, I'm not a software guy. I am useless with Linux, and I managed to get it going. So that says a lot. I'm really not a software guy. I am a hardware guy at my core, and I do need help with Linux. Linux is something I'm not Junus. I'm not those guys. I've been in IT a very long time on and off, but I'm not a guy that digs into that side of things. So when someone says to me, you need to, I can do the basics. I can get into root. I can go into a shell. I know poke around, but I don't have a natural, okay, let's try this. Let's try that. I can follow basic instruction. And actually, here's the truth. Their basic instruction got me to flash that today. The guys on the Telegram, and I can't remember which one it was. I just want to say a thank you to him who said to bypass the resistors. That was pretty much all the help I had. And I flashed it. So actually, you could argue the documentation is good enough. It's not, but it's an open source project that'll be changed and improved over time and things like that. So yeah, early days. Also, can't complain. So far, looking good. And there was no one more pleased than me when I saw the OpenIPC image come up on the monitor, because I was like, yes, we have stage 1. So yeah, a happy man. Just got to get the backs. I'm waiting on the 2 network cards, 2 cameras, but we only need 1 to get it up and running. And then start looking to see what it's like. Look, this isn't just about, oh, what is the latency? This is about, right, how does it look? I'm actually also very interested in this, and this isn't something I've discussed yet. From a wireless CCTV point of view, I am very interested in this from a wireless CCTV point of view. But there's so much we don't understand. I don't know how the channels work. I don't know the frequencies. Is it hopping? Do you set the channel you want it to use? I don't even know the bandwidth of the system. There is so much stuff we don't know. But I'm also genuinely interested in what it is like for CCTV. Because I'll be honest, I've got some cameras on the other side of my house. I could do with, the cables are knackered and I keep having to fix them. So to be honest, I have a multiple interest here in wireless CCTVs and oxymoron. 5.8 all good, 2.4 gigs. Yeah, and there's lots of options, lots of different options available for it. So, yeah, you know, it's not just for me about FPV. Now, I think that's every subject. If there are any questions, we're gonna do. I'm gonna go 5 more minutes. If there's any questions, someone asked earlier about a Bardwell. I have no idea where the Bardwell is. If anyone's seen the Bardwell, please do let us know. I don't know. I don't know. Look, JB is none of my business. I don't know what the man is doing. I'm guessing it's important. I suspect he'll come back with a real bang when he comes back. That's for sure. Look, JB's going to have an advantage and a disadvantage. He's been off for a long time, but also that can help. That can help a lot. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Also bought a new car. It's so fast that it's getting me to work in 5 minutes before I leave. But yeah, if you've got any questions, YouTube can be a bit of a grind. It absolutely can. And look, it's an interesting subject. Have I seen the Darwin Hulk 03 HD waterproof drone? No, I haven't. Darwin Hulk, I'll find that now. Look, JB is a full-time YouTuber, okay? I believe. I don't know where he is at the moment. Some people have said he's taken some work. I don't know what the truth is. It's not my business, not my problem. As far as I was concerned, JB is a full-time YouTuber. You will hear me say things like, look, I'm independent. I don't have to pander to brands. I don't do sponsorship spots in the middle. I don't do this. Look, it's easy for me to say, I don't pay my mortgage on this. I can tell you now, if I was paying my mortgage, JB's business model is probably the only one that would get it done. That's a reality. So no one should ever be like, oh, JB does mid-rolls or this. At the end of the day, if someone is full-time on YouTube, they will do what they need to do to make it work. And you as the audience will decide if you're willing to accept that or not. So for me, if I installed mid-rolls, you'd be going, well, why am I doing it? Well, if I ever turned on mid-rolls, I'd then have to explain why I'm doing it and give you my reasons, and then you would decide if you want that or not. So I could say, I'm going full-time, therefore I need to push on that and that. This is still largely a hobby. The support, I couldn't do it without the support of the Patreons. Okay, the Patreons would make this impossible. I'd just shut the channel down tomorrow without the Patreons. YouTube income is not enough to keep this channel going. Just to buy the equipment to talk about. Okay? It isn't. It's just not. So without Patreon, I stop. But I'm not the person who is having to pay his mortgage on the back of this. So JB is a completely different animal to me and many of the others. Look, frankly, I can be a complete asshole and play off the fact that I'm not beholden to working with vendors. But that doesn't mean I want to do that, and it doesn't mean I don't lose out in other ways. Look, you've got to work with vendors. You have to. I love working with Radiomaster. They're an amazing brand. I like working with Cadex. I'll say bad things about them when they do stupid things, but they keep coming back and saying, hey, can you give us your opinion on this? That's brilliant. There are vendors, though, I've spoken badly about who won't work with me anymore, and that's fine as well. But I do poke them with a stick because I'm going to. And one of them is DJI. And people go, oh, you're only jealous, or you only say that because they won't work with you. Yeah, but if you're going to do that, I'm going to keep poking you with the stick because I enjoy it, because I get to do it, because I can. It's a reality. But look, JB will be back when he's back. I've missed JB's content. I do like, I pick up... I watch certain things of JB's. And I don't watch everything, but I do. But the stuff I watch, probably I've not missed any of, because I'll want to know something about Beta Flight, and JB will have an answer for it. Whereas instead of me sitting here for 10 minutes going, why the bloody hell is that like that? So JB is a great guy. I wish him all the best. I hope he's back soon. Look, reviews are a bit poisonous, because it becomes a train. Like, I took a week out for a holiday, and then I had a week ill, and I am so far behind on reviews. I'm getting stressed about it. I am going to reduce the amount of reviews I'm doing. I've already started. I've already said no to that the Speedy Bee thing. I've said no to a bunch of other stuff. There is some stuff that's come for review that's been sent, or other stuff, and I want to do them. I don't want to not do them, but I'm going to be more picky and choosy on what I need, or what I want to talk about, because I don't want to be doing 8 videos a week. That's not what I want to be doing. Fun discussion is take it or leave it. Yeah, and I enjoy the banter between JB and Bunty. Yeah, and look, I'm getting a lot of flack on Facebook from a number of people right now, just because I seem to have attracted a number of new trolls and haters, and Facebook seems to be anything I say about anything. Someone wants to put a post up either saying I'm lying, questioning what I'm saying, or just sort of spin it somehow. There's a lot of spin going on. It's like, oh, he said this, but is it really the case? Well, I wouldn't have fucking said it if it wasn't. Let me be blunt. If I say something, it's because either it is true or I believe it's to be true. Frankly, what you think about that is not my fucking problem. But I don't just say it for shits and giggles. That's a reality, okay? That's me being my bluntly black and white, and I am like that. But then they said, yeah, but he said, it made me laugh. Someone said something about something I said in a video, and they said, he said this, but is it true? And I went, what? And I just replied, why the fucking hell would have I said it then if it wasn't? Let's cut the bullshit here. You don't just say stuff because it makes everyone. I'm going to say this because it's going to get I don't care if a video gets one. Do I like videos to get views? Yes. What pleases me more than anything is like a 1-hour video getting views. So that Avatar goggle review, I was really pleased with how well that's done. Now, I've benefited from JB being off on that, I'll be honest. But the HD Zero goggle review, that was a 55 or 56 minute video. And that had like 50, 60,000 views. And I was really pleased with that. I don't care about getting views on a subject like DJI has done this or that. I put those videos out as PSAs. It's not about views. The ones I care about is when I've spent a crazy amount of time and effort giving you information and people go watch that. That's all I care about. Because all I can be is honest. All I can tell you is my opinion, my view. You might not agree with it, that's fine. But turning around and saying, trying to justify why I'm wrong is just stupid. And that's the bit that winds me up. When people say, he's only saying good things about that because he hates DJI. And you're like, no, that's just stupid. You know, you just say what you think. My opinion might not be the same as yours, but it is my opinion nonetheless. And you'll either like it or you won't. We're both entitled to it. That's a reality. But stop trying to use some form of bullshit justification why you think I said that. I said it because that's what I think, not because you think I'm influenced by something else. And that's the reality. But that's Facebook and the toxic world of social media for you. So, right. We all have a choice. Yeah, exactly. I just tell you how I feel. Sometimes that feeling changes. Believe it or not, I might not feel the same in a month's time as I do today. Who would have thought you can have an opinion that will bend and mold over time based on experience? What a shocking and unheard of suggestion. I like the longer videos of the gems, shitloads of detail. Yeah, they're just brutal. Honestly, that Cadex video was brutal. To get that out in that, honestly, I keep saying honestly, to do what I had to do to get that video out in time, I'm sure that's what made me ill for the next 2 weeks. Oh, I'm always wrong. I get it wrong all the time. Right. We are going to end this one here. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who spent some time watching this tonight. Hey, little question. What do I think about the Radiomaster Zorro Max for camping and co? Zorro Max. Zorro's a very good radio, but the battery life is compromised. Look, if you're willing to charge it between flights or bolt a big battery on the bottom, go for it. But the battery life on the Zorro is compromised. Right, before we go, someone asked me about this. Have I seen it? No. Interesting. I have no opinions. Can it fly underwater is my first question. If it can, I like the idea. If you can fly it underwater, I like the idea. But can you fly it underwater? If you can't, I'm not. That looks pretty dirty. Yes, can. Look at the O3 case. So, is the main electronics in a case as well, then? Okay, so that's all potted, is it? Is that potted? Interesting. Oh, we're there. Oh, hello. Okay. I like the idea of that. I've not used it. Can't comment on it. You're going to have all sorts of problems. Let's be honest. You're going to get rusty motors. You're going to get all sorts. However, looks interesting. Right. We're going to end it there. Thank you for spending some time for me tonight. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for the super chat. Stevie, thank you for the $2 one at the end. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for spending some time with me tonight. We should be back same time, same place next week. We're going to be back on the normal